So unfortunately, we're here today searching for two individuals, teenagers from Plainville, that we determined entered the Farmington River sometime yesterday afternoon, a little after 1 o'clock. Reported missing by their parents around 5 o'clock in the afternoon. They were overdue to be returning home. Plainville PD contacted Avon PD, which led them to come down to an area that's frequented a lot by individuals that utilize the river for swimming purposes, especially on a hot, humid day. The vehicle belonging to one of the individuals was located, which led the PD to go down to the river, where several belongings, articles of clothing and 2 cell phones were found on the bank of the river that belonged to these 2 individuals. We commenced a search last night along with Avon PD, Burlington Fire, Avon Fire Department, State Police. Throughout the night, last night, with negative results, we resumed the search this morning. State Police dive team is out. I'll let the State Police talk about their efforts. Their K-9 unit is also out. Encon Police K-9 unit is here. Burlington Fire has been on the water. Avon FD has been helpful with their search on the shoreline. We've also had a helicopter from New Milford PD, and we're trying to get more assets as we speak. Farmington Police was also involved deploying a drone over the area. So at this time, we're still searching. I've made contact with Army Corps of Engineers to try and get the water level dropped from the Colebrook Reservoir. They started that process this morning at 8 o'clock. The effects of that are probably 6 hours before we see the water level start to drop. So the only issue is they can only drop it 50% because of the amount of water that's still pouring in to the reservoir from the amount of rainfall we've had over the last couple of weeks. So that's definitely hampering the search efforts. As far as MDC goes and their area of responsibility on the other side of the branch, they cannot control their dams right now because there's just too much water to hold it back. And the problem with both entities is that if you hold back water, you're going to have a bigger problem next week when they have to release it all, especially with more rain coming. So that's kind of hampering a little bit of the search efforts right now. We are going to continue the search throughout the day, and we'll make a decision later this afternoon, tonight, early evening, if we're going to continue throughout the evening, or based on what's coming with weather, we might suspend it for the night and continue tomorrow. That's where we're at right now. If the State Police want to talk about their efforts with their dive team and K-9 units, and then we'll go from there.
So we are assisting with Deep and Avon. Our dive and marine unit has been deployed. We have a boat going up and down the stream. They're conducting side scan sonar to try to find the bodies. We also have our K-9 search and rescue units, our K-9s that are specialized in search and rescue, also searching along the embankments to see if there's any bodies. We are assisting Deep in any way possible, providing any resources needed for the search. All of our goal is to find these missing teenagers as soon as possible. You know, our hearts and our thoughts and our prayers go out to the family and friends to try to find these bodies and just to get closure in this situation.
And kind of going off that, either Captain Lane, I mean, is this now considered a recovery effort for you guys, or is there hope you could find them alive?
There's always hope that that's the most positive outcome that we can hope for right now. But right now we're really it's a search and recovery mission, unfortunately.
How far downstream are you all searching?
So from where the dam is, we're searching down to the bridge here, and then we're probably going to expand that probably all the way through the center of Farmington at some point. Right now we're just focusing right up here based on what we have for conditions and what we think might be a good area to keep continuing searching. So that's where we're focusing on right now, just this 2-mile, 3-mile stretch of river right here.
Can you talk about the flow of the water and just how strong it is? saw a post on Facebook where typically it's 200 to 300 cubic
Correct.
square feet per second.
Correct.
And
So
it's like 10 times that?
right. So right now, as of this morning, when I contacted Army Corps, the flow out of Colebrook was 1,600 cubic feet per second. Now that's up there. Now you also have the other side of the branch that's flowing free flow right now. At the same time, last night and early this morning, the confluence of both the east and west branch down here was 3,000 in Unionville. So it's a huge difference. Now, like I said, Army Corps is trying to reduce by 50% up at Colebrook. They're at 1,600. They're going to try and go down to 750. But that's just one side of the branch. You still have the other side that they can't control right now that's free flowing. So it will reduce it a little bit. How significant that's going to be is we'll see this afternoon how much it goes down. Regardless, with that kind of flow, like you said, you're averaging the 300s on a normal flow. This is 10 times higher than that. The conditions are very dangerous. If you're out looking at the river right now, you see parts of it look calm, but the current is ripping through there. It's very strong. It's very deceiving. So, anybody that's going in the water, just be mindful of that. The water level is a lot higher. The water temperature in the river is cold. It's probably in the low 60s. Hypothermia sets in very quickly, and you can get swept downstream very quickly. So, very dangerous time right now with the water level being the height that it is.
Any indication that they would have gone in the river with flotation devices? Did you talk to their family about perhaps anything they might have taken with them?
So I've spoken with the family members. There's nothing that indicates that they would have any PFDs with them at all. Nothing that we found on shore or in the vehicle that would indicate that they had personal flotation devices with them at all. So,
Captain, were they with anyone else, or was it just the two of them?
as far as we know, it was just the two of them. Yep.
Have you been able to reach any witnesses who might have seen them around the time?
We did talk to one witness that actually saw them go down there. He lives in that area and sees a lot of activity on a daily basis, especially when we have weather like today in the 90s. He actually had a conversation with them, advising them that the river conditions were dangerous. That was probably the extent of the conversation that he had with them, but that was around 1 o'clock yesterday afternoon.
And Captain, for the folks who are watching maybe on Facebook Live and don't know this river, people do come down and float off. I mean, what's the recommendation? Is there someone policing this water, or is it kind of, you know your risk? And can you explain that to people?
It is at your own risk. Obviously, we have the Satan's Kingdom tubing company up in New Hartford. They monitor their section of river, but they only monitor the people that are utilizing their facility. So anybody that goes there on their own is on their own. So there's no lifeguards that patrol the river. There's no set law enforcement that patrols the river. We are out on occasion, but we can't cover the entire entity of the river and the area and the scope of it. So it's at your own risk.
Is there ever a time that's good to come out here, not with Satan's, to come out by yourself? I mean, you said this river's washing.
Right. I mean, normally this time of year, the river flow is a lot lower, and you can easily get in a tube. I suggest wearing a life jacket at all times if you're going to be on the river, because no matter what the level is, it could be dangerous. But most times in the summer, you can take a tube, a canoe, a raft down the river, and have a great experience. In times like this, where the conditions are a lot different and a lot more serious, you definitely have to pay more attention to what you're doing.
And to expand it broadly, is it the same case around the state right now? Let's say people are going to cool off this afternoon, it's hot.
Oh, absolutely. Doesn't matter what body of water you're on. Just know your limitations. If you're not comfortable, always have a life jacket on. Wear it. That prevents a lot of incidents on the water. Can't stress that enough. And then also be mindful of the water temperature. Like I said, the river water temperatures, the river stays cold throughout the course of the year. So if you're not ready for that cold immersion and that shock, and you get a gasp reflex, it's never good. But just know what you're getting into before you go out on an adventure on the water.
Do we know where these two boys, were they related at all? Were they friends or what?
I believe they were friends, both from Plainville. I believe they were friends. Yep.
Can you talk about what the family might have been going through, or what you've heard from them?
These situations are never easy. I'm very straightforward and try to show a lot of compassion. I tell them, whatever questions you have, I'll answer them. I'm not going to hold anything back. It's very difficult to tell a family that you have to suspend a search for the night for any law enforcement officer. It's one of the most difficult parts of the job. I have talked to both parents, family members last night and today, and their hopes are high. They also know the possibilities, and they're struggling right now. You know, their loved ones are missing, and it's a difficult time for them. So we're doing everything that we can, not just us, but state police and everybody behind me and everybody that's out here searching is putting in 110% effort trying to locate these family members to get them closure as soon as possible. So
It's obviously a dangerous search for your teams.
correct. So
Captain, do you mind just shifting so we can
sure, yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yep. So yes, last night, I think it was around midnight when we called the search. So it's very difficult for the emergency personnel to be out there on a boat, especially at night in these conditions. They put their lives at risk every day, and we take that into account when we decide we're going to suspend the search, because we just can't risk an officer or a firefighter or anybody, EMS personnel, getting hurt conducting the search. And I explain that to the family, and they're very supportive of that, and they understand those circumstances. So we'll see how it goes today. Hopefully the water level drops a little bit to safeten the conditions that we have out there, and we'll see how the day progresses. So, but yeah, it's stressful, you know. It's very sad, but we're doing what we can. We're doing our best. All of the agencies that are involved here to do what we can to find these two individuals and bring closure to the family.
To anybody from law enforcement that is here, these two individuals were listed as endangered runaways. Can you expand on that any more?
I haven't heard that. I've not heard that.
And my last question for you is, when it comes to the search efforts and everything going on, I mean, I've seen people come down here wanting to help. Is it just avoid the area? I've seen Burlington Fire post some things. What's the best thing that the public can do right now?
To have other people come down and search, that puts them at risk, and then we're responsible for that. So we try to tell people, you know, hold off for right now. The time will come where if we exhaust assets that we're going to go that route. But for right now, you know, with the river level being the way that it is, we just don't want to risk the general public getting injured or hurt, and have another, you know, search and rescue mission going on. So that's where we stand on that right now.
So the spot that they entered the river is about how far upstream? Is it just this side of the dam?
We're literally at the dam, not the Collinsville, but the one just below that, right there. Yep. So probably a mile and a half or so up the road. Correct.
Is there a name for that dam?
No, there